So today I am going to be talking about broilers in their growing stage. As you can see, these broilers are 28 days old. They are both 28 days old, but they are very different. This bird is much smaller than this bird. So what happens during brooding is, if brooding temperatures are not done very well, and there are portions where sometimes there are pockets of coldness, the broilers that grow in that area will not grow to the same weight as the others. Secondly, if birds do not have enough access to their feed, it will also mean that they will also grow in different sizes and weights. Another thing that also causes the non-uniformity would be the arrangement of the feeders in a fowl run. So stocking density, access to feed, arrangement of the feeders and the drinkers, and also the ratio of the drinkers and the feeders to the number of birds that are placed in an area is important in determining the uniformity of the flock. The temperatures and environmental circumstances is also a critical factor on this. So, say for example we have ended up with the situation of the two different birds. What should we do? So on this farm you will see that they have created a growing pen. In some instances, some people call that a sick bay. I do not like calling that a sick bay, rather I call it a growing pen. So in the growing pen, we give the birds a chance to grow. We give the smaller birds a chance to catch up to the rest of the flock. So there are important parameters to consider in the growing pen. When birds are younger and getting out of brooding, that is the critical stage to make sure that you have your growing pen. You actually then can leave a bit of temperatures or heating in that section to ensure that the birds also grow better. You can then also add equipment that is in the correct ratio to the number of birds that would be in the growing pen. This is to ensure that the birds that are in the growing pen have got enough access to actually then catch up on the weights. Sometimes it would be good as a practical thing to actually maybe leave the feeders and drinkers at a lower level that is showing that it is at the level of the chicks that would be in the growing pen. It is very important to make sure that the equipment is adjusted to the back level of the chicken, so as to make sure that all birds will have access in that section. The rest of the birds can then be treated also equally, where you are making sure that the rest of the flock has got enough equipment, enough feeders, enough drinkers, and that they are always having cool, clean water. It is very crucial also in the growing out period of broilers to make sure that the drinkers are washed every day. When drinkers are being washed, it is important to use material that is comfortable for the birds to also drink soon after. Products that you can use include Virotech. It is also then important to make sure that the water that is given has got cool temperatures. If birds drink hot water in the grow out period, it will mean that they will drink lesser water, which will then affect their weight. So it is important as a strategy to make sure that the tanks of the water are either wrapped around using an aluminium foil, or some farmers what they do is to make sure that inside the fowl run they have a smaller tank where water first collects in before it runs through the pipes. It is also crucial that on very hot afternoons, say in October, it is also an idea that one can put in ice blocks within the header tanks so that the rest of the water that the birds will drink would be cool. Another strategy to make sure that birds that are in the growing out period eat well and drink well is also to finely spray the environment of the birds using either knapsack sprayers or actually watering the roof of the fowl run. These cool temperatures will then encourage the birds to eat much more in hot environments. Another practical tip that can be used to manage the intake of the growing birds is also to finely spray their feeders so that they then get encouraged to come and eat. It is very, very also important to make sure that if it is a hot afternoon, in the afternoons you let the birds be, they rest in that period, then feed more during the cool hours. So during the morning or in the evening is when the stockmen can then wake up the birds more and encourage them to eat. During the growing out period, it is also important that all vaccinations that should be done are done at the right time. Secondly, it is also very important to manage the bedding of the broilers. As you can see here, the surrounding curtains have already been dropped. This is to make sure that the airflow is maintained very well and also to dry the bedding. So during the grow-out period, it is important to tend the bed at times each and every day or every other day. This is to make sure that the birds will live in a dry environment and that they also do not breathe odors that come from the bedding. So it is important as a management thing to always make sure that you are turning the bedding, and whenever bedding is turned, it is important that the curtains be dropped down completely and make sure that all the dust that would accumulate would actually have a chance to get out. On bedding, it is important to use the correct bedding material from brooding throughout the growing period. The bedding material that can be used on this farm, they use grass. On other sides, some people also use cut wheat straw into smaller pieces. Some also use shavings, which are actually very ideal. However, it is not recommended to use sawdust. This is because sawdust is very fine and it causes a bit of some irritation within the respiratory system of the broilers. So it is very critical that whatever bedding material is used is dust-free so that you do not have challenges with the respiratory system. Of all these things, with broilers, the major aim that we want to achieve is to have our target weights achieved. Therefore, we will need to use all these tips that we have discussed together, ensuring that the birds are eating well so that they achieve the right weights. I thank you. Thank you for listening. Good day.